Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we've got lined up for you today. We really have. We're looking forward to this weekend's Soccer Aid match with football fan and UNICEF ambassador Sanjeev Bhaskar is here. We're also tucking into burgers, courtesy of top chef Tommy Banks is here as well. Mr. Paul Ainsworth will be back in the kitchen, putting a Cornish spin on a classic Scotch egg. And don't miss this week's Little Masterclass when we'll be making fried chicken with cornflakes. Yes, cornflakes. Cornflake fried chicken, it's epic. But first, I'm joined in the kitchen by another West Country lad who's turned the town of Tavistock into a gastronomic hotspot. It's a good mate of mine and the show. It's John Hooker.
Hey.
Welcome back, Chief.
Great to be back, James.
And you're busy. I mean, the summer's busy for you anyway, isn't it?
Carnage, yeah.
It's crazy down there.
Yeah, rock and roll, really, yeah. Wicked. So busy, yeah.
And so tell me what you're cooking then. What do you got? What have you brought with you from Cornwall?
We've got some magical, beautiful dayboat Cornish turbot, which we're going to simply pair with a vinaigrette of brown shrimps, a bit of summer asparagus, and a seaweed béarnaise.
Okay, all right. So you're doing savoury. I thought I'm going to start off with something sweet, really.
Nice.
So I'm going to start off with something old school. I'm going to do an iced parfait. Well, I think that to kick things off today, I thought we'd recipe for an iced souffle, which is we're going to use some amazing produce from a distillery down in Cornwall, which I'm going to introduce you to in a minute. But the first thing is with this iced parfait or this iced souffle. First of all, what is it? You're going to make a souffle cold that looks like a souffle. If that makes sense. But the first thing we do is concentrate on our base. Our base is the egg yolks and sugar. So you start off with a classic sabayon. And a sabayon is made by heating up egg yolks and sugar over a pan of hot water, and you whisk it all up, and it makes a sabayon. Now, usually you add some you can put masala in there, and then you can glaze the fruit and bits and pieces like that. But you're going to add this amazing little alcohol in a second, which you're going to add to it as well. So this is really about getting everything ready before you combine it all together. So you've got the eggs and the sugar heating up over the egg whites, which we can just pop in our machine, and whisk those up. So 3 egg whites, 3 egg yolks. Then we can concentrate on our little bit of double cream as well. That's going to go in there. So really, these are the sort of predominant parts of the mixture. Now, when you're keeping your eye on this, you've got to keep your eye on this. You're going to, it wants to be boiling or gently simmering, like that. But this will sort of change colour and change texture, like that. So you whisk it all up like this. Same time, you can then think about whisking up the cream. You want all these the same sort of texture, so when you combine it all together, it's going to combine together nice and quickly. So the egg whites need to be whisked. This needs to be whisked. I don't know why I'm doing this over there and you're sat over here. No, it's fine. No, you can stay where you are. It's absolutely fine.
Go, Gadget James will call you.
Multitasking, you see. Over here, like this, on the machine. We're whisking this over here. So the egg whites are whisked up. The egg yolks are whisking up over here. And this is where you can add, I mean, traditionally we add a little bit of sweet wine. Like I said, masala. You can put sherry over this, pour it over the fruit and grill them like that. Perfect for this time of the year. But to combine this as a nice little souffle, you combine everything together. So while I'm going to whisk that up, I'm going to swish that off. And at the same time, we're going to take some fruit. So I've got some raspberries over here, which we're just going to basically pop into our blender and blend into a nice little bit of puree, pass that through a sieve, and incorporate that into our souffle. But we're going to whisk this up. You can see as you're whisking it all up, it starts to get a little bit thicker. Keep your eye on this, like that. This is proper multitasking, isn't it, really?
You're smashing it, James. Super proud of you.
Thanks very much. Notice how you're giving me a hand, but that's fine. And then we just pop that through our sieve. Now, you can keep the seeds in if you want, but I take the seeds out. And we're going to pass this through a sieve. Now, I said to you when it's all about adding the alcohol to this bit. So before I add this, we're going to head down to Long Rock. Do you know where Long Rock is in Cornwall?
Can't say I do, actually.
You're a Devon lad, aren't you? We're going to go down to Long Rock in Cornwall to speak to Sean Bevington from the Pocket Full of Stones Distillery. Welcome to the show, Sean. You're in your little sort of... this is your little playroom there. I can see the amazing stills behind us.
Hi there, James. How you doing?
So,
yeah, that's Virginia and Jackson in the background, our 2 stills.
Virginia and Jackson. I love that. It is traditional to name the stills, isn't it? That's because a friend of mine's got a distillery.
You can number them if you want to, but we kind of figured that that's a little bit impersonal. So they bring so much personality to all the spirits.
So tell me how you got started then, because first of all, I can hear from the accent, South Africa. So how did you end up? You end up in London. You end up having your own pub. How do you end up with that? First of all.
Well, yeah. So I ended up in London. I ended up managing bars and like sports bars in Covent Garden, and then ended up owning my own bar in Fitzrovia for about 10 years, and got too old and grumpy and overweight to kind of cope behind the bar anymore, and needed a new ulterior kind of job. So kind of looked at getting back to the coast, which is where I grew up in South Africa and Durban on the East Coast.
So that was the South African bit. You needed to get out of the smoke and get down to the ocean.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly that. Yeah, haven't regretted it for a second.
Now it started off life producing. I'm just going to whip up the cream over here. It started out life with the gin, and then very, very quickly, you end up sort of selling your gin and then diversifying onto all manner of different sort of stuff. So tell us about what you've gone, and we've got some in here, and I've used in some of this liquor to taste. This, by the way, is spectacular. Tell me about this. Where does the name come from? Penzance. Where does this...
It's good.
So Penzance is actually the name of, or it's the Cornish name for Penzance. It translates to Holy Headland, and Long Rock is just outside of Penzance. It's about 2 miles away. And we take all our inspiration from the surroundings, and it's really what inspired us to make that first gin, something that's fresh and invigorating. And once we had that gin kind of nailed down, it led us to the Summer Cup. Obviously, as seasons progress, you kind of want to progress with them. And we saw all this abundance of fruits and fresh veg and just everything happening around us, and kind of wanted to embrace that, really.
So you're going to explain about how it's made in a minute. I'm just going to use some of this because I've whipped up my egg yolks and sugar, and I've used some of this raspberry puree, but I've used some of your liquor in here, and I'm just going to quickly show people how to just incorporate all this lot together. The key to this is you can do it quite quickly. So you take the double cream. You need to allow the Sabayon just to cool slightly before you throw everything in, otherwise it's going to split and separate. But we've got in here whipped egg whites as well, and you can almost throw everything in. Now, you can see in front of us, I don't think you can see this, Sean, but we've got these little dishes that you line with a little bit of greaseproof paper. So this is the idea of this souffle side of it. So a conventional souffle, you would just put butter in the moulds, like that. Sugar, bake it in the oven. What we're trying to do is replicate that, but cold. So what we do is we take a little bit of greaseproof paper and a elastic band, and then you just put that all together and carefully, but quickly, fold it in like you're doing a conventional souffle. And this just mixes the mixture in, which you got in there. I'll just use a spatula to get right in the bottom of this so we get all your nice liquor from the bottom. And then you pour this mixture in. So this is greaseproof paper on the outside, and the idea is you fill it in the moulds, sort of to reenact a souffle, like that. So you're just pouring it all in, and it wants to sort of be sort of a half an inch above the pot, that kind of stuff, which is there. And then once you get to that stage, pop it in the freezer. So tell us about how this is made then, because this is done in small batches, and the great thing about that, you use different fruit each time. So I presume in each batch that you have, each bottle that you produce is different.
Yeah, so the recipe stays the same, but we embrace the seasonality of the fruit. So we normally get the first batch of strawberries coming available in around April time, mid-April. So that first batch will be really strawberry heavy. And then in June, July, we'll start to see raspberries come available, gooseberries, and towards the end of the summer, you'll get your blackberries and blueberries. So the recipe embracing the seasonality of the fruit will kind of follow the season.
Now, the great thing about this when you taste it, as opposed to something that's generated in big factories and stuff like that, big stills, it tastes so fresh with the fruit.
It's got real clarity of flavour to it, isn't it? You can really taste that.
Even though you're mixing it as well. To get that, though, it's all to do with the quality of the ingredient, I'm assuming, as well. The quality of not just the base product, but the fruit as well.
Yeah, exactly that. Also, I mean, we probably painted ourselves into a corner a little bit with it, because we'll never be able to really mass produce it. It's 200 bottles at a time maximum, and that's because it is fresh fruit. You know, it's infused, and we take that fresh fruit, we infuse it into our gin. We let the gin extract all those fresh fruit flavors.
So tell me about the still behind you then. Well, I'm just going to show people this before we look at the still. This is your ice parfait that's been in overnight. You just take the paper off like that, and you've got your nice little souffle. Easy as that. And we're going to finish this off. Decorate with a little bit of fruit. There we go. It's a lot easier than what it takes to make this stuff from behind you. So tell us the process of how you make this then. What is the process of when you get to this stage?
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make a gin first, and that we do in the stills behind us. We use Virginia. She's a 500-litre copper pot still, old traditional methods dating back 300 or 400 years. Nothing's really changed in the distillation process for us. We take that gin and then we infuse it in the seasonal fruits, be it strawberries or raspberries. We also add a little bit of spice, warming spice into that. So there'll be some star anise, some clove, just balancing those fruit flavors out. We then work in collaboration with a local vineyard, and they supply us with raspberry juice from their raspberries. We'll add that to the liquid, as well as fortified wine. And then we let that sit for about 2 to 3 weeks, which is where we can never really mass produce this. Like I said, it's 200 bottles max.
Huge passion.
Because there's so much sediment in the liquid itself, it's just got to naturally fall out. If we were to filter it, we extracting flavor. We're pulling flavor out of the liquid, which is what we don't want. We want those big, bold, fruity flavors, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes, how long do you take from the raw material to what we have in the bottle then? Because gin happens so quickly. This is a very different way of making it.
Yeah, so gin, for a classic dry gin, we can make it and sell it in 2 to 3 days quite easily. This will take about 3 weeks.
I tell you what, you mentioned, I mean, John's just mentioned one thing, it's the passion in it that goes with it as well.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
And this is one of the amazing, what I love doing this show, and I love it because over the last 3 years, we've been introduced to so many different suppliers and so many different people, length and breadth of the entire UK, from Northern Ireland all the way, all over the place. Is you meet these little gems, and it's down the road from you. You didn't know he was even
200
here.
bottles, the branding's amazing.
I guarantee it's going to be on his bar menu. I guarantee that this summer as well. But I wish you all the very best of luck with it, Sean, and thank you for being a part of the show.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck with everything as well. Next time, I will definitely be there. Definitely be there. Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you very much.
So there you have it, my version of an iced parfait souffle. Done.
Buzzing for this.
Well, they're just the texture of it is, you know, it's like an ice cream but a lot lighter, of course.
Really moussey, no? My little boy would love this, just minus the booze.
What that?
But what an absolute legend Sean is.
Yeah, it's just fantastic, isn't it?
Like
But the flavour of it's lovely and fresh. I love the idea of this, that you get it different each time you order it, because it's different types of fruit, but that's the care that goes into it. It's cracking, that. Absolutely cracking. Particularly whether you drink it like this or have it in a dessert. It's lovely.
So good.
And right, we're giving you a crash course in fried chicken with cornflakes in this week's masterclass later on this morning. Looking forward to that one. But join us again after the break when we're getting the lowdown on this year's soccer aid from my guest, Sanjeev Bhaskar. I'll see you after the break. It's lovely. Welcome back. Now, I'll be giving you a masterclass in fried chicken a little bit later. But before that, I'm here with all my guests this morning. It's Mr. Tommy Banks, Paul Ainsworth, John Hooker and Sanjeev Bhaskar. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, Sanjeev, we're going to talk to you about a little bit about the career later on, but we've got Soccer Aid tomorrow. Everybody's talking about it as well. I know you're a UNICEF's ambassador as well. What does an ambassador mean for UNICEF for you?
I mean, it was a huge privilege, huge honour, to be honest, because I think, you know, one of the things about UNICEF that I really loved, actually long before I was involved in it, is that it's about children. It's kind of in any of those you know, whether it's conflicts or natural disasters around the world, kids are the innocent ones. I mean, they've got no, you know, play in the politics of anything or any of those kind of situations. So, you know, an organisation worldwide that kind of focuses on them, and they are going to grow up to become adults and could contribute positively to the world if they're given that chance. So that was the thing about UNICEF that always appealed to me.
And sport is a great leveller of all that. And I mean, it's
100%.
raised so much money. We'll explain it, how much money it's raised. The match is tomorrow. You went to it recently, didn't
Last
you?
year.
Last year you went to it as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was at Wembley. It's at Old Trafford.
It's at Old Trafford,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was, what a day.
Yeah.
Like, what a day.
But, I mean, you've been recently out... We're going to play this clip in a second, but you can tell us about this clip as well. This is literally about all the hard-hitting stuff that you see, and I mean, it must be fascinating to see it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I went out to Malawi and saw, you know, the children's centres, which is one of the things that UNICEF does. So UNICEF really is, you know, the money goes towards kind of, you know, education, clean water, and medicine, all that's all the essential stuff that people need. And given that, you know, there was a cyclone in that part of Africa recently, you know, and once that happens, you've got the damage that comes from, you know, the natural disaster, but then you've got all the diseases that come afterwards. So UNICEF is on the ground trying to kind of do all of those things, address all of those things. But also the children's centres are really about allowing children to be children, because a lot of these kids are forced to grow up, you know, way too early and are having to deal with kind of, you know, grown-up stuff. And these centres give them a little bit of respite where they can be kids, they can learn, they can get a bit of schooling, they can get, you know, to be with their peers and just kick a ball around.
Well, we're going to see what it's all about now, and there's what better way to see the kind of work that UNICEF does than to enjoy this little clip. But just take a look at this.
Chikumbutsu is 9, and his brother Brown is 11 years old. One day their parents went to work and never came home. So at the age of 13, their older brother Yohani had to become their sole carer. That was 3 years ago.
So this is a pot.
That's your pot you have cooking?
This is exercise books. I want to become a nurse. I wanted to help in our country. When I was left, I didn't know what happened because I am still young.
Do you think your parents will come back?
No.
For these boys, daily life is incredibly hard caring for themselves. But here in Malawi, UNICEF fund incredible places they call children's corners. Yohani and his brothers have somewhere they can go and forget their responsibilities, learn, play, and just be kids. And this is what Soccer Aid's all about. You contribute some of that hard-earned cash of yours and create something like this. Sounds like this. Sounds like that.
Donating to the Soccer Aid appeal is simple. To give 30, 20 or £10, text 30, 20 or 10 to 70818. Text costs your donation plus one standard rate message. You must be 16 or over and please ask the bill payer's permission. You can also donate online at the website shown on the screen. 100% of your donation will go to UNICEF.
Wow. I mean, that must have been amazing.
Yeah,
and levelling and a bit of everything going out there and doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the first thing kind of watching that back, because I haven't seen that for ages, was kind of realising that how much of a ridiculous Frank Zappa tribute act I'm looking like at the moment. I mean, I just look better then than I do now. But now we've got the important stuff out of the way.
Exactly.
The ego. Yeah, it's incredibly humbling because you know, we see kids around us all the time and we want them to be kids and yet we're trying to prepare them for adulthood and the rest of it. And so, you know, when the youngest was 6, that's when the oldest, Yohani, he was 13 at that point, where he took on that responsibility. And there's an interesting thing about people in that situation, which I've also experienced in Calcutta with street kids, which is the kids there, for them, school and education is a privilege. Yeah. And so you know, what it means to them is kind of, this is a route out. And all of those kids, when you talk to them, like I did in that playground there, or kids in Calcutta, you say, what do you want to be? It's always something that gives back. None of them are going, I want to be a pop star, I want to be a model, I want to be an actor. They're not doing that. They're going, yeah, I want to be a nurse, I want to be an engineer, I want to be, you know, chefs as well, because they kind of know that these things will help feed, in the broadest terms, their community and their world. Yeah. And that's, you know, incredibly humbling.
Well, like I said, I know money's really tight at the moment, and every little spare bit of cash is really going to help. So we're going to put it throughout the show, again, how you can donate as well. But there we have it. But I'll be giving you a masterclass in fried chicken that's perfect for a half-time snack when you're watching Soccer Aid tomorrow, like I was saying. And all these guys will be cooking for us a little bit later with a vast selection of different types of food. But I'll see you after the break when I'll be making a beer can tandoori chicken for you.
It's a first.
It's going to be, well, I can't do beer can chicken, it's beer butt chicken with pear life rice. But there, that's after the break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, I'll be giving you a step-by-step guide to making the perfect fried chicken in this week's Little Masterclass. And Chef Tommy Banks will be serving up some burgers next. But first, I'm here with a man who rose to fame on the hilarious Goodness Gracious Me and has hit dramatic heights on the brilliant ITV crime drama Unforgotten. It's the brilliant Sanjeev Bhaskar! Welcome to the house again.
Thank you very much.
What am I going to... I know you're a big foodie as well, because I
Yeah,
can
I do
see
love
you've got
food.
your eye on this sort of stuff as well. I thought, with football happening, I'm going to do an amazing dish. This is beer can chicken.
Right.
So, beer can chicken, but it's all about the rice. We're going to do a classic peel of rice. I've got some fried onions over here, so you get a nice bit of colour on the onions in there. And then my spices over here, a little bit of bay leaves, I've got some cumin, some spice, I've got some turmeric, I've got saffron, a little bit of cinnamon like that. You can use things like curry leaf if you wanted to, fried up in there. Then we add the rice and the water, and that's going to make a nice little pilaf. And then it's all about the beer butt chicken, we're going to call it.
Beer butt chicken.
Butt chicken.
Okay.
So once you've got the onions like this fried off nicely, in we go with our spices. You don't want to add those too early. If you are going to add them early, I would put water in the spices, otherwise the spices can burn. So once you've got that mixture in we go with our rice. Don't need to wash the rice, that's going to go straight in as well. And then in we go with our water. No need for stock, that's going to go in. Going to pop a little bit of lemon in here, and that's our nice little bit of rice cooking away.
That already smells good.
It already smells all right. I can see you got your eye on this thing, don't you?
Yeah, well, I was wondering what... Are you cooking on coals here, or...?
Yes, coals. But the difference between... So there's obviously charcoal. There's charcoal that you buy,
Yeah.
which is that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Which the heat, then it burns off, and the heat disappears.
Yeah.
This is the Japanese charcoal.
Japanese charcoal?
This is a different level.
OK.
But it gets super hot, almost twice as hot, 3 times as hot as this.
Right.
This stuff. And you
So in terms of controlling the temperature on this...
It's just 2 little flues, one this side, one this side, and you turn it up and down.
Wow.
Or you do that.
That's good.
That's the
Yeah,
best.
hey.
That's the best way.
That's left field thinking right there.
Exactly. That's the best way. That's the best way. So anyway, we're going to talk about you. Of all the things you've been doing, we talked about UNICEF and everything else. But
Yeah.
what we're talking about is your career early on, because your parents weren't a fan of you going into comedy, were they? Really? They're going,
No,
it's
not
not
really.
a proper job. That you need to get a proper job.
It's not a proper job. It's still not a proper job. But, yeah, when I was about... I mean, I always wanted to act or write or do something in film or television. And so I think I was about 5, maybe, and some uncle came round to
Really?
the
When you were
house.
5? You...
5, I knew, yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure. And... But he came round to the house and said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, young man? And I said, actor. And my dad said, it's pronounced doctor. And so it's... Which he then denied, but luckily my mum was there and she says, no, he did say that. So, yeah, I think also, for them as immigrants coming to this country, their big dream was that, you know, their kids maybe would be a part of society. And so for them, it was become a doctor, become an accountant, become a lawyer, something that society needs. And
So you saying comedy at 5-year-olds was exactly like me saying I wanted to be a chef. My granddad turned around and said, "You got to be a cricketer." That was the thing was out.
Was it really?
Yeah, wasn't it? My granddad played cricket, you see.
Yeah.
Professionally when he was younger. So he said, "You need to get a proper job and play cricket, not mess around in the kitchen." We don't do that. Your granny does that. You shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, it's true story. And that was the same thing with you, I suppose.
Well, it is. Well, there's that interesting thing, actually. If you have a passion and you're lucky enough to do your passion for a job, you are one of the luckiest people in the world, because, you know, a lot of the journey to that, doing that, is fraught with stuff like, you know, social pressures, peer pressures, all the rest of it, to not do it. So, actually, if you do get a chance to do it...
But if you're going to do a job, I mean, comedy is, it's notoriously tough anyway. You've got to do the whole circuit. You did all that sort of circuit as well.
I didn't. That was the thing.
But what was it? The love, was it the writing side of it that got you to? What
I think I love communication. And
But wasn't the two of you, the two mates of you, that you sort of...
You have done your research, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. But there was two of you. You sort of...
It was. So
But there was a 6-year gap between sort of doing it. And so we said, you need to do this for a living.
Do you want to be my biographer?
Well,
you kind of know more than my mum does.
Go on.
No, that's true. So when I was at university, I got together with a friend of mine, Nitin Sawhney, who's now a kind of, world-class composer of film and television and performs the Albert Hall and everything. And we kind of said, look, there's nobody out there who's reflecting our experience of being British and Asian. So why don't we do something together? Because we can use music and we can use humour and it will be unpredictable. There'd be no preconceptions about what we can and can't do. And so we did that at university, which was quite good fun. And then 6 years later...
See, did my research.
Spot on. I rang him up and I said, look, we're both at loose ends. Should we just hang out and come up with stuff? Which we did. We called ourselves the Secret Asians.
Yeah.
I know it's a bad pun. Forgive me. Actually, don't forgive me, because the name of our show was an even worse pun, which was Poppadom Preach. I can only apologise again. But it did well enough to attract the attention of a couple of producers from the BBC who came to see it.
Because I was told it was the flip of the coin as well, wasn't it?
Yes, well, these two producers kind of said, it's the Secret Asians in a show called Poppadom Preach. This is going to be awful, isn't it? So we'll flip a coin, heads will go and see the show, tails will go to the pub. And so luckily it turned up heads. They came to see the show. They said this is what we're looking for in terms of this sketch show we want to do. And that sketch show was Goodness Gracious Me, which then changed my life entirely.
I changed it, massively as well. Because, globally it's gone. America loved it and everything you've done since then. But, look, we've got a spice over here. I'm just going to recap what we're going to hear. We've got some yogurt, I've got some nutmeg in here. In we go with the spices. It's a selection of spices that you want, but garam masala, a little bit of turmeric, some paprika. It's entirely up to you. Mix this all together. I've scored the chicken over here, and then this is where we just cover this with the marinade over the top as well. So once you've mixed it all together, cover it all over with this marinade. But what is it about the writing that drew you to it? What is it about that?
Do you know what? There's something about humour, James, and you'll know this because you're a funny bloke, intentionally or not.
Try to be, but you know.
But the thing with irony is it gives you instant perspective. And so, it's something that is terrible or awful or horrible or frightening. If you can see that it can be ridiculous and silly, it doesn't not become those other things, but it's not just those things.
Yeah.
And so it just gives you a bit of space. And I think that it becomes a world view that you kind of see things that, don't have to be terrible, but you immediately see a comical version of that.
Yeah.
And that actually I think is quite healthy. It can stave off having a heart attack.
we're just going to get on it. This is the beer can
Well, this
chicken.
is the bit I'm intrigued about.
Well, the bit I'm intrigued about is
Oh, is that how you do it? You drink it first and then...
you have to taste it a little bit, first of all. It's important that the beer's right. But what you do need is a little bit less in the can.
Oh, OK.
Like that. And you need a proper can. It's not going to do in the little stumpy little can. You need a proper can.
Right.
And then what you do is you get your chicken. So once it's... you can either leave this in marinade overnight or not, but you take your chicken like this, take your can and put it...
Oh, blimey, you actually did what it said on the tin.
That is it. But then you either put this in the oven, if you don't want to like the barbecue, you put this in the oven, and it wants about sort of 45 minutes to an hour, because the idea is this heats up, the beer then creates a steam, which makes our chicken moist in the inside.
Oh, OK.
So there's a
That's
method
clever.
to it as well.
That's clever.
Don't go drinking the beer after it's been in there as well. That's not great, look. But then when you lift this off, and I've got one that's been in the oven, this has been in for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Look at that.
This is your beer can chicken, like that. All right, there's one each. And then we're just going to put this over to one side, like that. But then what I want to talk to you about, you've gone to the comedy route, and then you now, and I get the feeling you love this, the serious acting side of it, the drama side of it. It's another thing people see of you as well, really.
Yeah, more lately with Unforgotten, that's the thing that a lot of people have seen me in. And actually it was interesting when Unforgotten travelled to America, because I did a film called Yesterday, which was Richard Curtis' film. Yeah. Danny Boyle and Ed Sheeran was in it. Himesh Patel.
Just a few dropping names of the few.
Plenty more to come. Plenty more to come, folks. And what was interesting was the reaction on social media from Americans who went to see the film, who came back and then said, "Hey, I just saw Sanjeev in this movie yesterday. He does comedy. Who knew?" And it was kind of, it's kind of mainly what I've done. But But no, it's been great to kind of, because it's another form of communication. So, and I think that's fundamentally what I'm really interested in, is how do you communicate things to people, whether they're good ideas or whether they're emotions or whether it's stories or, you know, people's lives, whether it's documentary subject. And, oh, God, that looks brilliant.
So that's...
Actually, that wasn't that long either.
Well, that's the race. It needs 15 minutes. I've got one. That's I swapped it over. So I've got one in the pizza oven that's been cooking away nicely. But you see, with the chicken, this is it's not the easiest thing to get out. I've got to be honest with you. When you get to this stage, you want to sort of stab it, but you stab it.
Okay.
Like that.
Do we need some, I don't know, some sexy music for you?
Well, they probably put and you take your chicken like that.
Oh,
Take this off. See, it's not the easiest thing to get off, to be honest with you, but you stab it like that.
James, the master of seduction.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Stab it.
With his chicken and
Pull
his...
the beer out, look.
Hey.
Yeah.
That does look amazing.
Stick that on
look at
there.
that.
And then we've got another one. So stab it. Take that can out, like that. The tray's completely knackered. You'll need to go to the supermarket and get another tray. And then what you want to do with this is then you get your two sauces. In here, I've got a yoghurt with coriander and some mint that I've just blended in a food processor, like that. That's over there. And then over here, I've got tamarind. Tamarind with sauce. You can buy that from a supermarket anyway, but you just put this tamarind over the top. And there you have it, your first dish complete. Just a small little portion to start you off, but topped with a little bit of mint, a little bit of coriander, and there we have my beer butt chicken with tamarind and yoghurt. Done. Easy as that.
Thing of beauty.
Right, to make it easier for you to try, I'm going to taste a little bit of this chicken off, but you can see it's beautifully cooked, lovely and moist, delicious. You get to dive into that.
Right.
There you have it.
Right, I'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Taste it with the rice and everything else, but the spices and...
That's fantastic.
Nice, isn't it?
It's great. I love the combination with the sauces as well, and that's super tender.
Yeah, super tasty as well. Nice, yeah, there you go. Easy as that. You're going to stick around for the rest of the morning as well? We're going to chat about throughout the morning as well, which is good.
Once I've finished these
Once
two.
you finish that, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll be treating, like I said, Sanjeev, to the best banoffee pie he's ever tasted, hopefully, later on in the show. And there's a masterclass in fried chicken coming your way very soon. But I'll see you after the break when fellow Yorkshire chef, one of Yorkshire's finest, to be honest with you, Mr. Tommy Banks, will be making the ultimate pub burgers. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now, there's still loads more to come this morning from my guest, Sanjeev Bhaskar, and I'll be sharing the secrets of top-quality fried chicken in this week's Little Masterclass. But first, if you're trying to work out what to tuck into during tomorrow night's Soccer Aid, then you can't beat a good burger. And nothing beats a good burger made by this genius from God's own country. It's Mr. Tommy Banks!
Quite a build-up, that.
The budgies are quiet now. The budgies... the playing field has been levelled. The southern budgies are quiet now.
Hang on, sorry, George.
So what are we going to be doing then, Tommy?
Right, so burger. So we're opening a pub soon. So it's a bit different to what you normally see me cooking, I suppose, but I've been working on it for a while. So I've got a beautiful Dexter beef from our cattle, which I'm going to make into a beautiful burger. Got some lovely farmhouse British cheeses, so Tunworth, Oggleshield and Red Spark.
Oggleshield, I've raved about this sort of stuff. It's made by the Montgomery brothers, isn't it? It's amazing, this sort of
stuff. It's like what you'd have it on raclette or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely delicious.
It's got
melted,
it's amazing. Bit of sting to it. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is make like a squirty cheese, like American sort of style cheese.
Like a squirty cheese?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, squirty cheese.
Dirty cheese.
Yeah, but dirty cheese with real cheese in it.
Nice.
So all three cheeses all together. What have you got else in there then?
A little bit of butter and a little bit of milk, just to soften it. Blend that together. So that just needs to soften gently.
Do you want me to slice some onions and get some onions on?
That'd be great.
That one on?
Yeah, a bit high heat. And then I'm also going to make a bacon jam. So I want to put just bacon in the burger because sometimes it gets a little dry. So I'm just going to sweat down the lardons.
So a bacon jam?
Yes.
Right, OK.
Bacon jam. So in there we've got chicory root coffee, a little bit of ginger.
This was last time you were on. You did you're using the chicory root for this amazing dessert that you've got there.
Yes,
At the restaurant.
Yeah, so it's something we use a lot. I mean, I think whenever I want that sort of coffee flavour, I use chicory root.
So is the onions made me cry?
No.
Oh, it's a shame. All right, right, what have we got in here then? You just got to melt this.
Yeah, if you could
put this
stir
on
that
here.
together, that would be great.
So tell me about the pub then, because you've just recently opened this pub. This is so you've got well, the Black Swan used to be a pub.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the Michelin star place,
Yes.
your iconic place. That used to be a
Yeah.
pub. But the new place, didn't you got the opportunity to buy this like a couple of decades ago?
So when we bought the Black Swan in 2006, I was 17, we wanted to buy this place. This is the cool place down the road.
You were 17 and your parents bought you a pub.
Yeah, that sounds so much more grandiose than it was. No, I left school with no qualifications.
Oh, don't dumb it down now.
Sorry, my parents didn't buy me a pub. So you left school with no qualifications.
Yeah.
And you end up with a pub.
Yes.
Yes.
But we wanted this pub.
Yeah.
But English Heritage bought it because it's on like an English Heritage site.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then 17 years later, the opportunity came up to get our hands on it. So we've taken the lease out, and yeah, very, very different to Black Swan or Roots. You know, the food that you used to see me do.
Can I use some of this fat for the onions?
Yes, please.
What is this that I'm adding to
A
them?
little bit of beef fat, aged beef fat.
Okay, good.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
So
that's your burger meat. And now, interestingly enough as well, you're 100% self-taught.
yeah, made up as went along, I think, is the.
It's interesting. A Michelin star. There's not many Michelin star chefs to be purely self-taught.
No, but I think you learn a lot from the people you work with, right? So everybody who's come through over the last 17 years has sort of brought something into the business, and I've learned from them for sure.
Can I just check, has this fallen out of your anatomy, or is this just supposed to be on there?
No, I just took
Oh,
my wedding ring off because I was, I didn't want to get it meaty.
I didn't want to ask. I thought
That's
I'd
my
falling off a body part from somewhere. I just thought... Right, go on then. Right, cheese. I've got this. I've got this. So you're frying off the
Yeah, rendering off all that lance, and then this cheese is all melted and it's a bit split. So that now goes into the blender.
Okay.
And that's what I want to, because often when you put cheese on a burger, it does split and the grease comes out of it.
Okay.
So I really wanted to try and create something that tastes delicious but stayed emulsified. So
this is the stuff that brings it together, is it?
yes, that's sodium citrate.
Right.
So we give that a good blend. I really want to start cooking this burger, to be honest.
And I'll concentrate on this, and you can cook your burger.
Yeah.
So tell us about this burger then. What?
Yeah, so this is Dexter beef from my cattle, and I've used the brisket, the short rib, and the chuck steak. And what I found is if I dice it small and then freeze it before I mince it, you get a really nice texture.
Right.
Just not as chewy.
So you're on about this from the farm, because integral to this is your parents have got the farm.
Yeah.
Which is an integral part of your entire business, I suppose. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
everything.
garden and the farm is an integral part of all your business.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. And this is where the Abbey Inn's going to be great for us, because it's not that easy running Michelin-star restaurants and trying to be self-sufficient at the same time, because you sort of, what's that looking like? Oh, yeah, it does look like squirty cheese. Look at that.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah. How cool is that? So it was split when it went in, and it's just brought it all together.
Yeah, what's that? What does it taste like then? Might need a little bit. Ooh, see how thick it goes? Look at that.
It's really thick, isn't it?
Yeah, like rarebit. Yeah,
No, it's
lovely.
good to go. It's good. I mean, it doesn't really need any salt because, like, you think them cheeses are all seasoned anyway.
Yeah, nice.
So then, in the bacon jam, bit of coffee goes in there, the chicory root coffee, bit of vinegar, and that'll all simmer down.
So the new place, is that because you've got two, the Michelin star restaurant Roots and all that kind of stuff. How will the temptation be to make the pub not like the rest of it? Well, or is it you want to be?
I think you have to be very careful. I mean, like you guys will know this. I think you can start cannibalising your business a little bit, can't you? If you do the same thing too many times. But also now I want this to be a proper pub. I think
my life, you know, outside of work, and obviously work's a massive part of it, is, you know, it's family. It's my kids and my dog especially. And I quite like the idea of having somewhere that I can take them. You know, and we never really had that doing, you know, Michelin star tasting menu sort of restaurants. And also, I'm really relishing the idea of having a specials board. You know, because when you do a tasting menu restaurant, you're kind of like, you know, you've got to find maybe 200 portions of the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whereas with, you know, it's going to be nice just to be able to cook in a more relaxed way without any sort of pressure.
That'd be driven by the farm, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly that,
So just recap one here. You got this, you sweated off the bacon, the onions and everything. What, you put this chicory root... If you did, obviously you haven't done them, haven't got this.
Espresso would be great, or coffee, yeah.
Coffee gone in here as well. Would you put some form of vinegar in there as well?
Yeah, sorry, there's balsamic vinegar in there as well, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you just... We'll just wait till that's... you just leave that to cook for what? Half an hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah, half an hour. Just cook it down really gently, and you're looking for sort of a jam-like consistency.
We do an exchange thing with Tommy, with the team.
I was going to mention that, but yeah, I was going to mention this. So tell me about this exchange then.
Well, Tommy came down to Padstow last year, then rang me up and was like, it'd just be, would you fancy doing like an exchange with our teams?
Right.
And yeah, it's been really, really good. The teams have loved it. It's a nice treat for the team.
It's great.
I think the other thing is we're so far apart from each other that, like, you know, North Yorkshire and Cornwall, they might as well be in different countries, you know? So I think it's amazing.
They are really, aren't they?
Yeah.
As soon as
I mean,
those words left
they
your mouth,
might
I was like,
as well be, but they...
Tommy, we were going so well.
Partnership over.
Yeah.
James Martin is not happy about the Cornish-Yorkshire alliance.
But it's almost like a week's sort of holiday star sort of thing, and you get to see something totally different. And I think the amazing thing is the diversity in the business as well. Like, you know,
You're doing that on all levels of the business, from management right down to...
Well, we created like modules basically, so they can choose.
and like we split it all down, and like we've even got things like HR in as a module.
Yeah.
No one's ever chosen it, by the way.
It's an important part of the business. We all...
Social media sides.
Huge.
Yeah.
Right, so then we're
cheers.
starting just not far off to assemble these sort of burgers. So these little burger buns we got over here. You got your fried onions over there. I'll concentrate on your burgers.
I'm just going to... oh, nice, yeah. See, this is the thing with the burgers. They need to be really soft.
It's just pure beef, Tommy?
Yeah, pure beef and a little bit of seasoning. Yeah.
They are very, very soft.
So the idea is I don't want to overwork them, so they end up really soft, almost like a smash burger. But I should probably work them a little bit more. So when you work the meat, you release the myosin in the protein, which is what gives you that, can make it really chewy, and I want it to be really tender and soft. So yeah, so building the burger, I start with this bacon jam in the bottom. How are they looking, James?
From a Yorkshire lad that didn't pass any exams, what about myosin and everything else? You've done all right, haven't you?
To be fair, I googled it in the car.
Unless he's making this entirely up as he go along, but... Loving this cheese idea, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's proper cheese. I'm a big sort of cheese fan, so... And then, where's a blowtorch? Should...
I'll do it.
Thank you. It should caramelise up, just gratinate up a little bit.
I get the blame.
I'm on it. Teamwork's a dream work and all that, you know.
Yeah, bailing me out, like usual. Where's my little spritz? I've got some tomato vinegar there, which I'm just going to dress the lettuce in.
Tomato vinegar?
Yes. So, like, roasted tomatoes from last year. So, again, it's still using the same ethos as the Black Swan, but I'm making a burger rather than a tasting menu. So I'm going to use a little bit of mustard, because I love mustard. Just a little bit of Dijon.
Look at these, look at these.
Yes. That's what I wanted. Nice.
There you go. Right, off you go.
Right, so yeah, a few gherkins from last year from the farm.
Yeah.
And then burgers. I think that cheese looks class.
It's a great way to do that cheese, isn't it? Really?
Amazing.
Well, what it means is you can use any cheese you want. So if you want to use like a big strong cheddar or like a real stinking bishop or something.
It's a great idea with the cheese.
Some nice little onions. I think that's... You know, it's the best thing about onions for burgers is you want them sort of cut a little bit unevenly, I think. Some of them want to be a bit more like...
I keep going on about it. It's fairground onions to me.
Yeah.
It's your hot dog onions.
Yeah.
You don't want to make that refined because it's just not. couple of pieces of tomato on there.
It's a good-looking burger, isn't it?
It's a beautiful-looking burger. Yeah. Look at that.
What a beast.
I think, you know, you should be able to cut a burger in half, I think.
Yeah. And while you slice that, just go, only way is Cornwall.
You got it.
Look.
Thanks, Joe.
That's a good burger.
That is a very good burger.
So,
Look at that.
And you are going to be so busy in this new place. Look at that for a burger. That cheese is magical, isn't it?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I've never seen anything like that. And the burger meat from your own place. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Tommy Banks, give us the name of this and tell us where you can get it from. Where's the new pub?
So this is the Byland Burger, which is our new pub, the Abbey Inn, which is, yeah, just a mile from the Black Swan near Olstead.
There you go. Awesome. Tommy Banks, everybody! There you go, gents. Bon appetit. Tommy.
You.
Go on then. Little piece each.
Tommy, it looks absolutely amazing.
Okay,
Look at this.
Let's go.
It's beautiful, mate.
Stunning.
Beautiful.
That fermented tomato as well.
How good is that?
Brilliant.
Tommy Banks, everybody. Proper. Right, there's a masterclass in fried chicken coming right up, and we'll be finding out more about this year's Soccer-Aid from Sanjeev Bhaskar. But don't go anywhere, guys. After the break, Tommy will be getting substituted, and it'll be John Hooker's turn to ours with his skills behind these very hobs. Ooh. No pressure there, then. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I was sharing the only recipe you're ever going to want for fried chicken in this week's little masterclass. And I'll be serving up a banoffee pie, yes, an ultimate banoffee pie. Wait till you see this one for Soccer-Aid supporter and UNICEF ambassador Sanjeev Bhaskar. That's coming up a little bit later. But first, I'm here with Mr. Paul Ainsworth, and I'm about to enjoy a dish by a chef who's become the toast of Tavistock when he saved the local pub from ruin and turned it into one of Britain's best boozers. It's in the top 50 best pubs in the whole of the UK and now got a bib gum on. It's the brilliant John Hooker. Yes. You're both good mates, so what are you going to be cooking?
Good mates,
well, we're all
James,
good mates as well. Yeah, I feel like a
a
foreigner
tripod
'cause
today,
I'm from the
tripod
north, but anyway.
West Country massive here.
Exactly,
Keep
yeah.
you on your tools,
Yeah, and don't worry, I've locked my house up, I locked everything away, so what are we going to be doing?
So we've got some beautiful dayboat Cornish turbot, which is in abundance throughout the summer months, the king of the sea. So we're going to pair that with a little vinaigrette of brown shrimps, some asparagus, a little bit of lettuce, and you're going to make a lovely seaweed béarnaise for me.
That's what you want, seaweed béarnaise. So we're going to start off with some egg yolks in here, bain-marie, and then you're just going to pour into the clarified butter that we got over here. So I'm going to pop that in there.
So I'm just going to lightly, just keep the fish in its purest form, really. We're just going to lightly grill it.
Right.
Just with some white wine.
So tell us about the turbot then, because, I mean, particularly down where you are, it is absolutely spectacular, isn't it? Really? And the brill. You've got two flatfish, very similar to each other.
Yeah.
Different price brackets, mind, but yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a ridiculously good fish, like the king of the sea. I mean, look at the colouring on it, the shininess of it, the thickness of the fillet. It is so good. Yeah. And I like to just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Cook it really simply.
What have you got going on there with the fish?
So we've just lightly greased the tray so the turbot doesn't stick, and then we've got just simply grill it with some white wine and some butter.
Oh, lovely.
Simple pimple.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No complication whatsoever. So I'm just going to pop that under the grill.
OK.
A nice hot grill. It's only going to take like 6 to 7 minutes to cook. OK. And we'll keep looking at that and basting it in the white wine and the butter as well.
So this is the clarified butter, which we showed you how to do clarified butter on the show before. We just pour this all in. Meanwhile, over there, what else are you doing?
So I'm going to just prep down some of this asparagus.
I'll take this out of the way.
Take the woody bit off.
Stand out of the way and do this over here. So
cut some of this down.
So this goes on here. So tell everybody about the pub. What made you end up down in Tavistock then?
So we opened the pub in Tavistock, which is my hometown. So Emma and I wanted to just open a pub where we like to go and use it ourselves, really. It's just, it's gone from strength to strength, really. And, you know, I think the great British people have got an absolute love affair with pubs. I have got love for. I love going to a pub, but also
Isn't there a thing? Is it Lancashire and Yorkshire? Isn't that the same? Cornwall and Devon? Is that?
I think we're more friendly to each other.
No, I'm just saying that because. But is that a thing? Or because you've got it's in Devon and it's called the Cornish Arms.
So that is because it's a 17th century coaching inn. It used to be the last coaching inn before you got to Cornwall. So we are 4 miles away from the Cornish border. Ah. So I'm quite close to Paul, but not... Yeah, close enough, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Do you know what? It's a good question. The only thing that I've ever really known is, like, the whole scone, clotted cream jam debate. But apart from that, it's not...
It's not like War of the Roses sort of thing.
No, it's not like you say, like Lancashire, Yorkshire.
It's not...
Yeah, not that I know of, anyway. It's probably a load of Devon people at their screen now, calling me all the names under the sun, but... That's what he thinks.
Exactly.
Little does that bino. Yeah, but yeah, it's all very friendly down our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Right, so there we go with our... So you want a little bit of seaweed. This is going to go in here. So you've got seaweed, the shallots.
And then we'll finish it with some chopped dill.
I've got some chopped dill. I'll do the chopped dill for you. I've got all that, don't worry. You concentrate on the rest of it.
That's right, yeah. And I'm just...
So tell us about the dressing then for this.
So the dressing, so what I'm going to do is some lightly soused some onions. So we've really finely diced some red onions here. I love onions, especially this time of year, for freshness. Yeah. Especially raw onion. But what we're going to do is wash them. So what we'll do is wash them to take the harshness out of them.
These are raw onions that you've just chopped?
Yeah, and we'll wash them and it'll take all the harshness out of it. Because you want that onion texture in there, but we don't want it to dominate the flavour of the dish.
So what is this stuff? I feel like I'm putting dust in here.
That's toasted sushi nori. So
is this local to Cornwall as well?
Don't sneeze on my béarnaise, will you? That's all the way from Japan, that is, yeah.
Is it? All right.
Yeah. Only the best.
Don't tell him that, John. That's Cornish as well.
But yeah, that's just a bit of toasted, and that gives that like lovely umami kick to it.
Right. Okay.
So I've washed out these shallots, these red onions, sorry.
So you've got the rooms now as well. You're right in the centre of Tavistock, and I remember when I stayed there. I said the shining light in Tavistock to me was the jigsaw shop.
You love that shop, don't you?
Oh, that's obsessive.
Old school, yeah.
Have you been to the jigsaw shop?
I've seen the jigsaw shop, yeah.
That's like James loves it.
I love it because if you order 2 or more jigsaws, the whole thing goes to pot.
Yeah.
Because it's still handwritten receipts. I just absolutely love it.
Do you know what I love in Tavistock? There's a great guy there that syringes your ears. He's fantastic.
So, have you got ear issues, Paul?
Oh, fantastic. He's brilliant. Just up the road from you, He's brilliant. Honestly, changed my life. I've been deaf for about 2 years. It was like...
We've got off piece here a bit, haven't we? Not talking about food.
We've gone from jigsaws.
Paul Ainsworth's ear issues.
But yeah, it's a good town, Tavistock.
That's going to be in the newspaper. I can guarantee that. Right.
And so... Tavistock's got a lot more going for it.
I thought down there you just use a jet wash, you lot.
Yeah. No.
They recommend a bit of olive oil, but it wasn't doing it. But I tell you, this guy in Tavistock...
He's the boy.
Yeah, he was the boy.
All right, lovely. Anyway, moving on to our sauce.
I'll just put a bit of brown nut butter as well.
Anyway, moving on.
That's good. Yeah.
Right.
So that's our reduced chicken stock and a roasted fish stock as well. So into that, we're going to put a few
You want a little bit of vinegar in there?
No, we taste it in a minute.
A little bit of lemon in there?
No, we'll see what it's like. See what
you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100%. We'll taste it in a moment. Okay. It's all good. I just want because this is a really acidic
So
dish.
tell me what you got going in here.
So that's our brown shrimp's going to lightly warm through there.
Right. Warm through what? What have you got?
That's our roasted fish stock and our roasted chicken stock. And with these...
you roast the fish bones, roast the chicken bones, and you make a dark stock with it?
Dark stock and reduce it, yes. That's our glaze. And then with the onions, we're going to lightly souse them with some rice wine vinegar. That's from Dorset, that rice wine vinegar. It's not really, it's a Japanese, but... And again, the reason we're using rice wine vinegar...
Dorset outside Tokyo.
Yeah. You've not heard of it? The reason we're using that is because...
Is Tommy Banks here in the room?
Yeah, he feels outnumbered by us country boys. He needs a Yorkshireman to come and help him out, lad.
There's a big size.
That smells incredible.
It's good, no?
Yeah.
So we'll let that rest up now. Okay. So we lightly souse these red onions. And again, this is going to give a nice acidic base and a bite to our sauce.
Okay.
Okay. Don't need too much of it, again, because there is a lot of acidity going on this, but I feel like, this time of year, you want real nice light food and again, also, we're going to go with some capers.
Have you? They're just normal capers. You just not fried.
Lilliput capers, just normal, yeah, and that gives a bit more bite as well.
Okay.
Go in with the asparagus, James. Just lightly season that for me.
Okay. A little bit of salt and pepper.
We'll finish that with a touch of lemon juice as well, please.
Okay.
And then what we've got here is a roasted shellfish oil. So we've got either langoustine heads or lobster heads, which is the surplus what we're using at the pub. And we roast them off and finish them with, like, stewed really sweet vegetables, like fennels, red peppers, carrots, celery. And then we let that infuse, which gives, again, a really lovely... Yeah, and some chiffonaded wild garlic, yeah. Yeah,
Chiffonade?
Yes, please.
And that means just chopped.
Thinly sliced, lads. Yeah. So then we're just going to dress the sauce, dress it with that. Chiffonade? No white classics, lad, is there?
I do feel like I'm been outnumbered in my own house, you see.
So we just split that sauce.
Tommy will back me up.
We split that sauce out with the shellfish oil.
I'll tell you, me and Tommy stood here. Let's see if the abuse starts then, you see. Here we go.
Oh, I'm not going to say boo to a goose then, James.
Right, you ready?
And then so we're going to baste that turbot.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's all about that caramelised butter.
And then I'll do that for you, Chef.
Thank you very much.
Right. Nothing. There you go. So what's next?
We're just going to chop a few chives. If you grab me 3 of those bowls behind you, James.
Yep.
Please.
I'll chop that for you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll let you plate up.
Yeah, just need the chives.
So we've got the sauce done. You've got the split dressing over here.
And then this is the asparagus and the lettuce just to add a bit of freshness to the dish.
Right.
So now we're just going to finish this sauce with our chopped chives, please.
Bit of that in there.
Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you very much. So here's our beautiful little vinaigrette of shrimps.
There, John.
Thank you very much,
There you
Paul. So just going to... Smells amazing, though. So it's just... You've got that beautiful, rich, meaty chicken.
Is this a starter?
Well, well, no, it's a main course. But you know the price of that turbot, James. I can't afford to give you too much. This is the start of our tasting menu. We've eaten a lot of food today.
Oh, okay.
I thought, it's a grazing day
Well,
today.
I'm just saying.
Don't want to give people too much.
Bigger bowl.
Bigger bowl. Come on, it's all in the presentation, James. So we've got some of that beautiful, fresh, wilted asparagus and lettuce.
Oh, dear.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And the touch of wild garlic going through the seasons. And then, so we will finish that off with the turbot. I mean, this is like next level, this produce. Look at it, it's stunning. And again, I don't muck around with fish cookery. None of this water bath malarkey or anything. Just cook it simply. Allow it to rest. I mean, take it a touch under, allow it to rest, just like it's doing now, and base it in that beautiful butter. And then we can serve.
What about my sauce that I've got over here?
So the sauce, we'll eat that with it on the side. Got a little side bowl. Well, we can use that bowl if you want. I'll taste it, actually. You've got to check the acidity.
I've just made it and you just put it on the side?
Yeah, you know.
I knew that was coming.
At the pub, we serve this with chips and béarnaise, so I should have bought you some chips for Duncan, shouldn't I? Yeah, just a squeeze of lemon, please, James.
I knew you wanted acidity. I said to you.
Oh,
did I say to you?
That is stunning.
I know it's stunning, but I said to you it needs acidity with it. Youth of today.
Perfect. Right, so let's decant that into a nice serving bowl, shall we?
Oh, man.
Again, the lemon's going to add that lovely bit of freshness to the rich
I know it
butter.
adds a little bit of freshness. Can I put it on the dish?
No, I don't want to put it on yet. We'll just put it on the side. Do it last minute. It's all about a bit of theatre today as well. That is stunning. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'll be mum. You can always add more, do you know what I mean? Less is more.
Happy with that?
Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Martin? Look at that there.
Why have I put it in a bowl if you're serving it from there?
I don't know, really. I'm just getting confused, isn't it? It's all for the theatre, isn't it? Like, went to all that effort, didn't we?
Yeah, I went to all the effort, and then you just... Yeah. Okay.
What's it like? What's it like, gents?
Yeah.
It's all silent. Is that a good thing?
Mate, it's beautiful. And it's just lovely ingredients, isn't it, that are all around now, and just, it's beautiful. The asparagus as well. Last of the season asparagus. Amazing.
It's all delicious.
Beautiful,
all delicious.
mate.
John Hooker, everybody.
Stunning.
Unfortunately, we've got another guy from that neck of the woods, Paul Ainsworth. He'll be trying to top that dish a little bit later.
No chance. I've just gone with a Scotch egg.
The peak now. It all goes downhill from now on. But I'll be chatting some more to Soccer Aid supporter and UNICEF ambassador Sanjeev Bhaskar a little bit later. But I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes with a masterclass in fried chicken with cornflakes with chipotle mayonnaise, which apparently he invented, that I've nicked. Bit like monkey bread.
Still not over that.
Yeah, I'll never be over that. It's left me scarred for life. Anyway, I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now, there's plenty more to come from my guests, Sanjeev Bhaskar, and top Cornish chef Paul Ainsworth will be cooking for us next. But first, on today's show, I'm looking forward to this weekend's Soccer Aid here on ITV. So with this weekend's masterclass in mind, I thought I'd show you how to make a dish that's perfect while you're watching the big match. It's my fried chicken with cornflakes and chipotle mayonnaise. Now, I'm more excited about this than anything else I've had this season, to be honest with you. I've had to go to the loo 3 times when I've been thinking about this. It's fantastic. You'll love it. Well, it's probably too much information, but I've got my fried chicken over here. But the first thing comes from how do you prepare your chicken if you're faced with a chicken like this. So this is a great way. Once you've learned how to portion up a chicken like this, it's brilliant when you do it raw or cooked. It's just a simple process. The first thing you do before you roast any chicken or cut it for sauté or anything like that is you remove the wishbone. The wishbone is at this end, the neck end. This is its back end, this is its neck end. And nature's amazing. It's got a little V. Look at that little V there. Well, where that V is, that's where the wishbone is. So you stick your finger in there and you just cut through, just take it and pull the wishbone out like this. And what this does, it makes it easier to carve when it's cooked. I'm just going to put the bits of bone in there, but it's easier to cut through when you portion it up. So, on a piece of chicken, you've got 4 pieces of dark meat, 4 pieces of white meat. To break this down, first of all, what you're going to do, I'm going to do it 2 ways. This is to cut through all the joints, so I'm not cutting through any bone for this one. This is all cutting through joints only. So you go back to biology. 2 legs, 2 thighs. So remove those first. You cut either side of the legs and thighs like that. Just cut through the skin. Turn it over, and you break its leg. Pops the leg out of the joint like that, and you end up with this. This is the best part of the chicken. It's called the chef's eye, the chef's oyster. You then take your knife, you cut through into that, and the leg and the thigh comes off. Now, once you learn this trick, this is a brilliant way to portion up cooked chicken as well. So, pop it through. Again, that muscular piece of meat is really important you get that. So you cut through, like that. And we cut through. Now, you can use any knife. This is a boning knife, really, but you can use any small, sharp knife is what you want. And then you feel the joint between the legs and the thigh. There's a little joint in there. Cut through. You've got 1 leg, 1 thigh. Exactly the same. It won't cut through. If you can't cut through, you're just cutting through bone. So it's all through joints is this process, first of all. Straight through, 1 leg, 1 thigh. Then we've got over here this bit. Now, you can remove these little winglets, again, by cutting through the little joints. 2 little winglets, we can put that through there as well. Now, where we found that wishbone, which is like that, we create a little V this side. So, imagine the V's this way. We're going to create a V, like a cross. Wishbone, that way. And we cut through there and there. And if we cut through and cut all the way down, because the wishbone's been removed, we can then cut through that joint, and that comes off. You've got another one. So again, you're not cutting through any bone at this point. This is a different process where you're basically cutting through joints, really. That cuts through there, and another piece. And then you're left with this. And what you do is you take your knife, this is your breast part, you put the knife in, it falls either side of the breastbone, so that is, and because the wishbone's taken out, this is much easier to remove, and you just take the chicken breast off like that. So trim this off. You've got another piece on there. So you can see already you've got 4 pieces of dark meat and 4 pieces of white meat, like that. So you just trim this all off. Now, this is the way you do it where you're not cutting through any bone. It's all through joints. You end up with a carcass like that we can then use to make stock. So you just put that in there, and that'll happily make some nice chicken stock. Now, there's another way to do it. Just quickly, while my chicken's frying off like that, there's another way to do it. You take the little winglets off, or the little leg bits off there, through there. Now, there's another way to do this. Exactly the same way we're going to do is cut through, like that. But you can use a sharp knife, and this is where you use one of these bigger knives, and you can cut through and whack through. And you trim that through, and you take it through the joint again. So again, this is cutting through bone, is this version. So you trim that through. So you've got a leg and a thigh, bigger thigh now. You can then take this, again, like I said before, when we did this, we cut through, whack through, like that. It's all cutting through joints. That's why you use a bigger knife for this one. Find the joint, cut through, leg and a thigh. When you get to this point, you can leave the wishbone in if you wish, but then we cut through, give it a whack, chop through. You get another piece. Same thing, same cuts, but rather than cutting through joints, you're cutting through bone. That's why you need a big knife. Whack, through. Another piece. When you get to this bit, we cut through. This leaves our little bit that can go in our stock. But then this bit, we cut it the opposite way. So the chicken breast runs that way. We cut it the opposite way through, press down. And you've now got 4 pieces of dark meat, 4 pieces of white meat. Slightly different to what we got in here. That's that bit done. So, once you learn how to do that, my best advice with that is really practice. Practice, practice, and practice. So, wash my hands for this one. Next, to make this, our buttermilk chicken. What we first of all need to do is grab our chicken. Now, you can take whichever chicken bits you want. We'll do this one, why not? This is where we take all this, our chicken pieces, and then we take just normal buttermilk over the top, like that. Now, just keep your eye on my chicken that I've got in here. That's doing all right, yep. And then what we do is you get our hands in, put the buttermilk all into the chicken, and then what I do now is leave this in the fridge. Ideally overnight, you want to leave this in the fridge, just to let it sit in that buttermilk. Now, what the buttermilk will do is start to break down the chicken and soften it all up, which is brilliant for frying. Once you get to that stage, which is what I've got in the fryer over here, which I'll show you in a second, this is the one that I've been in. It doesn't change colour or anything, it just changes texture when you fry it. Now, in here, for our southern fried chicken, we've got some plain flour. We've got a selection of spices over here. So these are our spices. In this little pot over here, I've got paprika, onion salt, black pepper, celery salt, sage, garlic powder, allspice, oregano, and marjoram. Those are the sort of dried spices you want. You can put garlic salt and stuff like that in there as well, but the whole lot gets put in to the mixture. Mix it around, and you end up with this flour, this spiced flour. Now, this is where you take your cornflakes. This is what I told the crew this morning that I was going to do this. And they went, can I use Frosties? Can I use Cocoa Pops? It's not going to be the same. Just stick with cornflakes, all right? Cocoa Pops is not good with this. They're nice, but they're not good with this. But then what we do is we take our chicken, and you want to keep the buttermilk on there. Don't wash all this off. Pop it into the mixture like that and really coat it in so it gets all into the edges and the corners and everything else. And then that's how you want it, that sort of rusticy sort of look. Then what you do is deep fry it. And I've got one, I've got a selection of them that's been deep frying in here, which we can take out now. So these have been frying now for about 10 minutes. And this wants to go in the fryer for 10 minutes because they're decent-sized pieces of chicken, really. If you're going to do the smaller strips of chicken, a lot less, obviously, but pieces like this, they're going to want 10 minutes to cook. But you can see I've dropped the temperature of the fryer down. And by dropping the temperature of the fryer down, you get it nicely coloured and the chicken will cook. If the fryer's too hot, like 170, 180, conventionally you would do this, about that temperature if you've got small strips, they're just going to brown too quickly. So for this, drop it down to about 150, so quite a low temperature, like that. So they were just going in batches into there, and what you do is you just take the chicken, I'll pop another one in, like that, and just show you, just pop it straight in the fryer. But just make sure when you're doing this, it's really well coated. When you do this, go right into the edges, but pop it in here, because there's a decent amount of crew in today, so I've got to give them plenty. So make sure it's really well coated, like that, in the fryer. Perfect. 150 is what you want. Then, when you're doing this, to make our nice little dressing, this is I suppose it's called a chipotle mayonnaise. Really, really simple to make. You can make it out of whole eggs, you can make it out of egg yolks, you can tell it to you, combination of the two, it's up to you as well. But very, very quickly to make this. We start off with some egg yolks. Now, you can use shop-bought mayonnaise. I wouldn't make it till half-time if I use that, because I'm allergic to mayonnaise out of a packet, so that's why I've got to make it myself every time we have a show like today. So, take a little bit of mustard. That's going to go in. Put the lid on. Turn it on. So what you want to do is emulsify the egg yolks first, and then gradually we add vegetable oil. So don't do this with things like olive oil. It doesn't work. So it needs to be sort of a mild, what do you call it? A natural oil, as in stuff that doesn't taste of anything. I use a little bit of vegetable oil, but even something like rapeseed oil is too strong for this. So you gradually pour in the vegetable oil, and you can do that while your chicken is cooking. So just take your time at this, and gradually, the more oil you add, the thicker it will get. Now, we're going to offset that with some chipotle and bits and pieces, some lime and bits and pieces, but you see, gradually, as it's starting to thicken now, it goes into a classic mayonnaise. And you can add a little bit and stop for a bit, check it. Good. And then carry on as it starts to thicken up a little bit. See, it starts to thicken up now. If it thickens up too much, a little bit of water will bring it back. So we add more and more and more. It starts to thicken up. You can see now you've got thick mayonnaise. And then really for this, we can add some of this. This is the chipotle paste, really. And you can add as much or as little as you want. And then what I do is add some fresh lime juice. So switch it off a little bit. The lime juice, you'll bring it back in terms of texture with that. We're just going to blend that all up now. And that's your lovely, creamy, rich chipotle mayonnaise. Like that. Take that off. And then to finish this off, we've got our chicken. Like that. Look at this. You put that on here. Now, I know what you're thinking. What happens if there's two of you? You just cook two chicken. That's it. And then you've got your lovely, look, you just dollop it. The chipotle mayonnaise all over the top. And we've got some of these little jalapeno chilies over the top. And then just some mint and coriander. So just a little bit of coriander, just a touch of mint. It's purely optional if you want, but I just like just a little bit of fresh mint over the top and coriander over the top like that. And then a little couple of wedges of lime. And there you have that. I think it doesn't get any better when you're watching footy for tomorrow. My version of a fried chicken with cornflakes with a nice chipotle mayonnaise. There we have it. If there's anything you'd like to learn about in a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We see if we can help out right here on the show. Remember, if you are going to roast a chicken like that, take that wishbone out as well. It's so much easier to carve. Time now for a quick break. But join me again in a couple of minutes when Mr. Paul Ainsworth will be hoping to beat that with his truffled egg. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, we'll be counting down the kick-off to this year's Soccer Aid match with my guest, Sanjeev Bhaskar. That's coming up next. But first, England might be playing the rest of the world in Soccer Aid tomorrow, but we've got an even bigger rival right here now in the kitchen. Could properly kick off any minute, to be honest with you. I'm here with Mr. Tommy Banks and Devon's finest, John Hooker. And we're going to enjoy a dish from a Cornish chef who's been trying to top trump his West Country rival. It's Mr. Paul Ainsworth. Right, go on then.
That's not true. I can't top trump him. Right, I'm going to show you a dish we got on at Cafe Reggiano. So we're going to make a lovely romesco sauce lovely mushroom, pork sausage, egg. We're going to fry it, and then we're just going to serve it with some
This is a
lovely
Cornish
parmesan
Scotch
and
egg.
basil. Not Cornish.
All right,
No,
just a
no.
Scotch
It's got
egg.
some Cornish ingredients in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to bite. I'm not going to bite. Like.
Oh, you are. You
Oh,
are.
yeah, am I?
Right, do you want to fry these first of all?
So they're all done. So if you put those straight in the fryer.
Just as they are, like that?
Put the whole lot in, okay?
Okay, the whole lot's going in?
Yeah.
So these are what we're about to make. So you're making this romesco sauce then?
Yeah. So I made 5 because I thought that'd be a nice canapé for you. All right?
Yeah. It's going to go in.
Why have I got the feeling something's going to happen? You've just got that look on your face.
Because it is going to happen.
So,
Right, we're frying that. This romesco is what? You've got
Romesco.
toasted almonds, toasted
almonds, toasted hazelnuts. Okay, now we take
So
those
a
out.
romesco is kind of like a pepper pesto-y sort
That's
of thing.
it.
Isn't it?
Exactly that, yeah. All right? So, now, use this. Don't need to wash it out, all right? And now we're just going to add all of these ingredients. So here, we've got those lovely roasted red peppers.
Yep.
All right? They've got the skin off, OK? So put the whole lot in, OK? Some sherry vinegar. Just put about half and then have a taste. 8 cloves of garlic. And then here I've got 2 paprikas, all right? Yep. The darker one is the hot, and then the lighter one is
Cornish
the sweet.
paprika.
Cornish, absolutely.
Cornish.
Yeah. Everything you see on this table.
It's from
All
Cornwall.
right, is from Cornwall.
Okay.
All right. And now we just blitz that again.
Yeah.
All right. Eggs okay?
Eggs are fine, Chief.
Really nice.
And then you're going to bake these in the oven as well. So
Bake
you
these in
blitz
the
all
oven.
this lot and add...
Blitz all of that. Now add your nuts back in. And basically, maybe a little bit more sherry vinegar, adjust the seasoning. And what happens is it kind of also thickens up a bit as well, kind of, you know, almost with those nuts where they just take on all that flavour. So for me, it's best after a couple of days, and it goes with so many things. Brilliant with chicken, grilled meats. So we now just re-blitz that, and that is it. That is romesco sauce, and it's just such a great thing to have.
Even just smothered on bread, it says.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So that romesco sauce, done. All right?
Yeah.
OK?
Done.
Now here, I've got some shallot, some thyme, and some garlic, all right? And we've just literally cooked that down in oil without no colour, all right? So here, I've just left one of these whole. So a duxelle, we would chop by hand, but again, at home, use a food processor, blitz the mushrooms down. And
What
what
about that?
happens
It's contains a bit of water when you do blitz them down.
Absolutely, but what we want to do now is put that into the pan and just basically let that cook. And the flavour is amazing because basically you reduce all the water out and concentrate the flavour of the mushroom, and it just goes so nice with that lovely pork sausage meat. Now, while that's cooking...
You cook that down, you don't add any breadcrumbs to that to dry it, Ollie. You need to
no
cook it till it's
breadcrumbs.
dry.
So you just cook that until it's dry, and I've got one here, so it's basically like that, all right? And all we've added to that is just basically a little bit of sherry vinegar.
It's like Blue Peter so far, isn't it? It's one I did earlier.
Yeah, it's called organisation, chef.
What's it called?
Right.
How much of the mushrooms you put in the sausage?
So, again, this is up to you. You can... Rule of thumb, the protein is basically holding it together, OK? If you were just to do the egg and the mushroom, it would fall apart, right? But also, as well, the pork sausage meat is delicious. So I'm gonna go about sort of 80-20. So a few spoonfuls of the mushroom mix. We'll just pop that in there. So we'll start off with about that.
So I mean, we were chatting, I mean, I've known you for years and years and years, but you were from just down the road here, just in Southampton.
Yeah.
So what brought you to sort of Padstow then?
Long story, but basically I was working in London, as you know, and then I opened a restaurant with a family temporarily in Kent, and I sort of put a team together, and one of the lads introduced me to his dad, who then introduced me to Cornwall. And it's not somewhere I ever imagined living or going. And I suppose I sort of went down there and was like, you know, back then it was just, I just wanted a platform, just somewhere to be able to kind of like go and cook and do your own thing. And believe it or not, just gone, you know, a couple of months ago, 17 years.
Is it?
17 years. So yeah. And you
So
can
this
imagine
is on. So down there you've got sort of this. You're growing this sort of consortium that you got down there. You've got. Started off with number 6.
Yeah.
Reggiana's came second.
Yes. Yeah. So number 6, 2005.
And then after that, you've got over the other side of the river, the estuary there, you've got well, tell us about it, the Mariners.
The Mariners, yeah. So the Mariners was the last thing we opened, and yeah, I mean, Tommy, like you were saying earlier, if there's one thing, I mean, John, you know, you sort of, you know, started your pub. I've loved every second of having a pub. There's something, I love restaurants, but I just love the buzz. I just love all of the sort of the thing that goes with running a pub, and just, you know, there's nothing better, especially when we first opened, you just saw loads of people in there, like, playing dominoes and drinking, and the fire lit, and just the atmosphere is just amazing. So yeah, and that's our little world.
So when you've moulded this, if you're going to do Scotch egg, it's quite handy to have a little bit of water.
Yeah. So I had my mix. I just put my fingers in there, a little bit of water, and as you can see now, I've just basically put that mix around. Now that's roughly about 60 grams. So we just go into the egg white, all right? And this was something we just sort of played around with, because the flour, we just sort of don't want to add anything else. We don't want to add another texture or get that floury taste. And also as well, we don't need the egg yolk. We just need something to kind of stick the crumb.
And that's it. You often have leftover egg whites in kitchens, don't you?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, you've always got a use for the egg, the actual yolks. Yeah. And that's it.
So you're partly cooking them in the fryer and then finish them off in the oven.
So I cook them in the fryer at 190 degrees until they go golden brown. The crumb we've just used there is panko, which I think most people are familiar with now, like a panko breadcrumb.
Yep.
And it's sort of like the texture of desiccated coconut, which kind of gives it that really, really nice kind of fine, crisp texture. Now, if you could just get the eggs out the oven when you've got a second. Thank you.
Yes, chef.
How many would you like me to plate, chef? 3? No problem. No problem.
It's all right.
It's absolutely fine.
We share.
If you can be John Hooker, you can take 1 and serve 16.
Yeah.
Like Jesus. Yeah, I am like Jesus. Fighting the wars.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
John's thinking that'll serve the whole dinner tonight.
Yeah, that's the service.
50.
Can I just pop that plate there? Can I just put that there, please, James?
There you go.
It's a crazy menu today, James.
Yeah.
So, just take a little bit of that romesco, and we're just going to put that in the centre, like that.
Do you want to dollop this on the top?
Yes, please. That's it. That goes on there like that. Thank you. Can I have a microplane, please, chef?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's all right, it's all right. It's OK. It's OK. I've got one here. Got one here. So I'm just going to finish with a little bit of Parmesan, just on the top. Like that again. So again, like a really nice kind of aged Parmesan. You get that nice acidity, a little bit of seasoning. You know, we don't need to finish it with any salt on the top because we've got the mix and we've put all the seasoning, created all those layers in there. And then just if you just take some little leaves of basil just on the top. If you can do the same on the other two, please, mate. Like that.
Such finesse he's done it with.
Well, come on. just
to get over there and throw it, James.
No, it's...
And then again, with all the leftover basil, we just make a little oil, which again goes beautiful with the... And that is it. Why are we going around the outside?
Because I think it looks nicer.
Hey?
Life's too short.
Well, it would have been a lot. It would have been easy if you just
put the oil around the thing.
If you just listened to me the first time. And that is it.
Happy with that?
Yeah, very happy.
Give us the name of this dish.
All right. So we've got Scotch egg, romesco sauce, Parmesan and basil.
Paul Ainsworth, everybody. Right then, gentlemen. There we have it. There we have it.
Ready for money
share then, do we share?
What's that? Yeah, we'll share. Yeah, I'll let you... No, I'll go with them.
Well, go on, you do it then.
Wow.
Look at that yokelet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, boy. Look at that.
Yeah, chef.
Go on, then, are you eating it, or are you just...
No, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. Texture in romesco is great as well.
Works so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mushroom really works, though, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because often it can be quite firm and, yeah, softens it down a little bit.
Softens it down. It's just, yeah, and it's just kind of, yeah, three things, isn't it, really? The basil, the romesco and the egg.
Beautiful, look.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat all that, yeah.
Yes, happy with that. There you go. That was brilliant. Paul Ainsworth, everybody. Right, we've still got time for one more final course, so join us after the break when I'll be making the best dish of today ever, banoffee pie.
Oh,
For all this. You wait till you see this one. See you after the break. Welcome back to the last part of the show, but I'm back in the kitchen with all my guests, Paul, John, Tommy, and of course, Sanjeev. Right, now I know one of your favourite dishes, as well as all I said a list of bits and pieces, but banoffee pie.
It is.
And I thought, as soon as we've got all these Michelin boys around us, thought we're going to go back to basics. We're going to do my version of banoffee pie with toffee caramel popcorn over the top, all right? So for banoffee pie, this recipe is ace, OK? It comes from Scotland, where they go skiing.
Yeah.
I don't do skiing, but you know where they go skiing? Avonmore, is it?
Yeah,
That one?
yeah.
All right, so I can get you doing the bananas.
amazing, yeah, I'll get on
I'm going to
those
get you doing the
bananas.
bananas and that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the popcorn on here, and then the pastry, everything just gets basically thrown in the pan, really, in the machine. So popcorn's going to go in there. For the pastry side of it, you're just going to do it in one of these sort of food processors, but the butter goes in, and then you throw the sugar in, the two different types of sugar, the icing sugar and the flour, the whole lot just gets all blended in together and thrown in together. Now, when we talked earlier, we talked about all the things you were doing. We didn't talk about all the amazing films you've been up to. You kind of touched on it, but, you know, we've got to mention Notting Hill, you've got to mention Paddington too. That must have been...
Well, yeah. Well, you know, it's almost a perfect film, I think. It would have been perfect if I hadn't been in it. But let's gloss over that. Yeah, it was wonderful to do, and it's all of the experiences I've had on the films actually. Yesterday and Paddington 2 and Notting Hill. Notting Hill, I played the key character of third angry man in restaurant, which is what who the film was about, obviously. But they've all been kind of joyous experiences, and I think it's going back to. You know, what I've said to you before, we're talking on air or off air, which is that, if you're lucky enough to do what you love doing for a living, you are one of the luckiest 1% in the world.
Yeah, very true.
And so it's about enjoying it,
And, I mean, talking about enjoying it, you're doing bits and pieces. This is how times have changed, though, now. Netflix. Sandman.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be incredible to do stuff like that, because when you're talking about movies and budgets and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Sandman was nuts. I mean,
That must have been crazy to do.
Well, I had no idea of just how big the kind of worldwide fan base for Sandman was. And, I was only in it in one episode, and hopefully in it when it comes back. But the scale of the thing and the sets and it was extraordinary. And
you don't even get that on film. I mean, not so much, really.
No, you're right.
Eh?
I mean, it's interesting now, but particularly with a lot of the streamers, especially, they put a lot of money into these, and they had the budgets that, in the old days, people would have thought would have been, big special effects film, the Jurassic Parks or the Star Wars, and now you get those on these TV things because, a lot of the streamers are so popular around the world.
Exactly, and that's how times have changed as well. But look, we've got any bananas.
Oh.
We're caramelising the bananas over here. I've got my popcorn going over here. This is the filling that I've made. So everything that's gone in that blender gets blended. You put it in here, 170 degrees, and you need to cook this for about 20 minutes. Then it wants to be a chunk.
Is that like a shortbread then, James?
It is, but it was Scottish shortbread. It's not, where you take the little portions and you do that little bit. It's that bit. All right?
Right.
You need to eat it. It's proper.
Yeah.
It's that.
It's the more in Avi Moore.
Well,
Hey.
it's just food. That's what it is. It's not little deconstructed little bits of food. It's food. Look, and then you take all this mixture. This is your butter, the sugar, everything else, and you just mix this all together. And then the popcorn's cooking away nicely. You're right there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take some double cream. Bit of that. That's all going to get thrown in there. So it's a bit in there as well. Now, tell us about Soccer Aid then, because this has raised an awful lot of money. £75 million
Yeah,
for
75
charities,
million. That's
for
right.
abroad as well.
Yeah. No, it's fabulous. I mean, it's something that I think you've alluded to, which is that sport, particularly, is one of those things that can cross boundaries. You know, you can go to anywhere in the world, and if there's a group of people kicking a ball around, you can join in.
Yeah.
Because you'll know what's going on. And so I think it's, I think music is the other thing, food is the other thing that can cross boundaries. And so sport is one of those things. So it's enormous fun. The teams, which is, England and the rest of the world 11. In fact, Jill Scott is kind of captaining the England team for the first time. So that's great. Got Gary Neville and Gary Cahill. I think Gary Cahill is playing for the first time. And then you've got, Usain Bolt on the rest of the world team. Now, you just imagine, you go just pass the ball to Usain and he can run. Shouldn't that just do it? But
You'd probably give yourself a little head start on Usain, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would.
Give me a yard or two.
Yeah. If it was over 100 metres, I'd want 90 metres head start on him. I'd probably still lose.
Even if he can't play that well, he's just going to outrun you, isn't he?
Yeah. But, people like that, and there's fun people, obviously, like Lee Mack and people like Mo Farah's there. And so there's this wonderful kind of, contribution from all sort of parts of the kind of sports and entertainment industry, which kind of makes it fun. There's a competitive match at the end of it as well, which is always good fun to see people.
It is. Right, this is all happening over here. So we're starting to heat this up now, over here, like that. And then basically everything just gets thrown in together. So we whip that up.
Do you want me to keep an eye on that?
Yeah, you keep an eye on that one.
Just whip.
Just whippy,
Peaks.
Just whipped.
Whipped.
Yeah.
Can I a name drop shamelessly?
What's that?
Okay, so two things. So UNICEF,
Yeah.
the reason that I kind of originally got involved was Roger Moore, as I became friends with Roger
Moore.
Moore.
Talk about this, yes, because...
he was a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, and he would always talk about it, and he was just the most wonderful person. Yeah. And can I tell you briefly one of the things that made me laugh that he said once? So I said to him once, I said, Roger, did I ever tell you that Live and Let Die was the first Bond film I saw at the cinema? And he said, no, you didn't. And I said, well, it was in the days of continuous programming. So when you went in, they'd just run the film again and again and again. And I said, so, Roger, I saw, watch the film, and then I thought, well, I'll watch the beginning, watch a bit more, watch it to the alligators, to the boat chase. Roger, I watched it twice, all in one go. And without a beat, he said, you owe me £4.50. Roger was the reason for UNICEF. Yeah. And the banoffee pie is I'm a big Elvis fan. Elvis's favourite dessert was banoffee pie.
Yeah, look at he'd have approved for this one, you see.
He wouldn't have heard of this, and this is just banoffee pie with Avi Moore.
But then he takes salt over the top of this popcorn.
Oh, gosh.
Over the top of there.
Beautiful.
And then we just got a little bit of double cream. What are you laughing at? We just put just a little bit.
Obviously, this is just one portion.
Of course it is. This is.
You'd make more if you had more people coming round, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You do that, bit of that. And then, just because you've got a little bit of a sugar rush, we then take the cool popcorn.
Wow. And this has got...
This is yeah. You can...
You got this?
Yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Thank you. Good night. There you go. See?
Point, James. Give you
That's
that.
lovely.
Good. Just take a little bit of this. Over
Gosh,
the
it's
top.
interesting with
I feel there's a je t'aime coming from you.
No, there's not a je t'aime.
No, I feel... No?
No.
This feels like one of your je t'aime
No,
moments.
it's not. You can say if you want. It's not a je t'aime. I'm going to kick you behind here. There you go.
I have to ask, what is a je t'aime moment?
It's a James Martin
Have a moment
when
to myself.
when he has a moment to himself, he goes, je t'aime, je t'aime, je t'aime.
Out loud or
Out loud.
in his head? Oh, OK.
But now I do it in private. And I find that this is one of those moments that there's moments like that, but this is beyond that. This is a moment where your right leg just starts to shake. And then you take your... Look.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is how they served it. And the reason why they served it like this was when the poor lot went skiing, it meant that they flew down the hill a lot quicker than when they were up the hill. But look, you take this I love this.
Pretty indulgent, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is on the basis of what you lot have been cooking all morning, yeah.
But also, if you think of this as an Elvis dish, it's quite modest.
It ticks all boxes.
It doesn't.
But look at this. So this is my version of banoffee. Well, I say my version via Scotland of this amazing banoffee pie. There you have it. Bon appetit.
That's beautiful, look at that.
There we have it, gents. There we have it. Work your way through that. You got through the whole chicken.
I'm glad I left room.
Get through that one.
Deep breaths, Tommy, deep breaths.
Go on then, Mr. Ainsworth.
Thank you very much, mate.
All right, wow. Oh, gosh.
It's a lot lighter than it looks.
What are you talking about?
It is.
It's what people say about me when they see me for the first time.
You're lighter than you, then.
Right, well, there are all these like diamond. All the details. Shut up, let me read this. Right, all the details of how you can donate to Soccer Aid should be on the screens right now. Now, donating to Soccer Aid Appeal is so simple. To give 30, 20 or £10, text 30, 20 or 10 to 70818. Now, text costs your donation plus one standard rate message. You must be 16 or over, and please ask the bill payer's permission. And you can also donate online at all the websites shown on the screen right now. Now, 100% of your donation will go to UNICEF as well. Happy with that? Lovely. It's all right, that, wasn't it?
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Elvis, I think, would have loved this.
Elvis would have loved this.
He would have done.
But the key to that is in the shortbread. You need that big chunky bit of shortbread with it. I remember that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that
There we
base
go.
is lovely.
That'll finish you off. That's it. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests, to Sean Bevington, John Hooker, Tommy Banks, Paul Ainsworth, of course, Sanjeev Bhaskar! Now, don't forget to tune in to Soccer Aid on ITV1 tomorrow at 6:30, tomorrow evening. We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday morning. We're joined by even better chefs. We've got Levi Roots and Monica Gleddy. Barman Merle Griffiths will be here, and singer Louise
Straight to the
Redknapp.
heart.
Until then, take care, stay safe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the football tomorrow. Bye for now.
Jeez.